Welcome to LawPath's legal education videos. My name is Damin Murdock. I've been a lawyer for more than 10 years. Today we're talking about the unfair dismissal process and what's actually involved and how you prepare for your conciliation conference. Now, an unfair dismissal is where an employee is being unfairly dismissed when in circumstances where it's harsh, unjust, or unreasonable. Now, what you need to look at if you're the employer versus if you're the employee. There's two circumstances, but at the end of the day, you're both looking at the same kind of elements. And you're looking at whether it actually is unfair. Now, once an employee lodges an application for an unfair dismissal, that application must be filed within 21 days from the dismissal. Fair Work Commission will then send a notice to the employer. It's then up to the employer to prepare their response to the application and to file that with Fair Work Commission. And after that, the matter is heard during a conciliation conference. And after that conciliation conference, if the matter is not resolved, the applicant, being the employee, will lodge normally their legal submissions, their witness statements being their evidence in the case, and the respondent, being the employer, will have an opportunity to file their legal submissions and their response evidence, and the matter will be listed for a hearing just like any other hearing that you would see in court or on TV, which is the member of the Fair Work Commission will ask questions and they will investigate whether they believe the unfair dismissal actually took place by looking at the statements, questioning the witnesses, talking to the lawyers if there are any, looking at the legal arguments, and making a final decision. But before we get all the way down to a decision, let's just look at the conciliation conference, because a lot of people might not have money to afford a lawyer, and they might not be able to bring a lawyer along with them or a legal representative, and therefore the purpose of this video is really to give you some guidance on what's actually going to happen during that occasion and how you can prepare for it. And whether you're employee or employer, it's the same thing. So when you look at the application and you look at the response, each side's going to be wanting to look at the holes in each other's case. Has the employee been employed long enough? Has the employee been below, or do they have an income less than the income threshold, high income threshold? Were they given notices? Were they given warnings? What have they left out of their application? When the respondent is responding, they normally want to pick apart the applicant's application and tell their story of events. Maybe there were previous verbal warnings, maybe there were previous verbal or written notices that weren't included in the applicant's application. And so what you want to do is you want to prepare your response and then get ready for the conciliation conference. By getting ready for the conciliation conference, you'll look at the employee's application, the employer's response, but at the end of the day, the conciliator, the person that's going to run the conciliation conference, they've already read those documents. So you're going to want to come up with something else that's going to assist your case. Now, how does a conciliation conference work? Well, normally, a conciliator from Fair Work Australia or the Fair Work Commission will call both parties and they'll get them on the line in a teleconference. They'll then explain that the purpose of a conciliation conference is to resolve it amicably, to save in legal costs, to save in time, energy of pursuing it any further. And they'll explain that it's to resolve it, it's to do everything you guys can do to resolve it on that day, and it's also that you're only going to have that one opportunity to try to resolve it before legal costs start getting incurred if you have legal representation. And they'll say that it's confidential and it's on a without prejudice basis, which means that if You cannot use anything that's stated in that conciliation conference against the other side in a public forum. And that assists in trying to resolve the matter amicably. And so the conciliator will explain that, and then they'll allow the applicant, being the employee, to start and explain their position for 5–10 minutes. The conciliator might ask some questions, and it's then for the respondent, employer, to respond. And then for 5–10 minutes, not repeating what's already in the application and the response, but possibly a new summary or something else that to add on top of their case. And then the conciliator will ask some questions, and oftentimes than not, they'll then break them up, they'll hang up the phone, and they'll call the applicant individually and talk to the applicant and try to get an offer of what the applicant wants. Then they'll call the employer, find out what they're willing to offer, make the offer, and from there, there'll be offers going back and forth. It's normally set down from 9:15 to about 11, 11:15 to about 1, and 2:15 to about 4. So it's about an hour and 45 minutes or so per conciliation conference, but they can go longer. And at the end of the day, it's trying to resolve it, trying to negotiate a deal, and it's nothing to be anxious about. It's a relaxed environment, and the conciliator is very helpful. Now, the reason why it's called a conciliation conference and not a mediation is that a conciliator is someone that actually knows the law and can give advice to the parties and recommend offers, whereas a mediator is someone that stays 100% independent. So you have the benefit of having a conciliator during this time, if you're not legally represented, to give advice to you and explain to you what the law actually is and whether you do or do not have prospects in your case. So that's the unfair dismissal conciliation conference process. If the matter is resolved, you enter into settlement terms. If it's not, you go to a final hearing. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and give us a thumbs up. If you have any questions, visit www.lawpath.com.au. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time.